Hello, my name is Robert Pitola, and this is my pitch presentation for Speedy Ninja. Play as Kiro, a ninja that becomes faster and deadlier by defeating enemies as he races the clock to be as fast as possible to defeat lieutenants and the commander of the Blackleg Army. What does the player do? The player must traverse the various obstacles within the environment, from wall running, jumping gaps, wall climbing, and swinging from object to object as fast as possible as the timer counts. The player must race the clock to ensure their speed gauge doesn't deplete before reaching the Blackleg Army Lieutenant at the end of each level and eventually fighting the Blackleg Army Commander. The speed gauge determines how fast and deadly Kiro is during the level and when he starts the fight with each lieutenant. Combat. The combat system will be very fast-paced, giving the player the feeling of being godlike while defeating enemies from the Blackleg Army. The combat will be extremely bloody and filled with gore, immersing the player into the experience of combat. Combat will consist of melee attacks, such as punches, kicks, and weapon strikes. The player must continuously kill enemies to keep the speed gauge as full as possible throughout the level, because the speed gauge constantly fluctuates, either making you fast or slowing you down. The player must complete combo attacks quickly to increase the speed gauge, and to keep it filled, or the speed gauge will slowly decrease as the timer counts or the player takes damage. The more violent the combat is, the more the player's speed gauge fills, allowing the player to deliver fast and deadly kills. If the player doesn't complete effective combo strikes or avoids enemies, the speed gauge will deplete, making the player move slower and become more vulnerable to enemy attacks. The speed gauge is very important for the player because it will give the player an advantage during the boss fights at the end of each level. The player either starts the fight with really fast abilities for an easier fight, or they start really slow, making the boss fight more challenging. The timer will stop when the player reaches the end of each level before fighting a Blackleg Lieutenant or the Commander. The speed gauge will no longer deplete from the timer, but will continue to deplete when the player is not engaging in combat or takes damage. Economics. The economics of the game will revolve around how well the player does in combat, for combo hit streaks, and how fast the player finishes the level. The player will receive special rewards from defeating the Blackleg Lieutenants and Commander, such as rare weapons, outfits, visual effects, and extra gold coins. The player will earn gold coins from combat experience and level completion based on how fast the level is completed, which are then used to purchase different style weapons, outfits, and visual effects. The weapons, outfits, and visual effects don't enhance player performance during the gameplay and are solely for customization. Aesthetics of the game. The aesthetics of the game will be from the 2D side-scrolling perspective, with vibrant levels. The environments will vary from dark-lit levels to a beautiful daytime atmosphere. The levels will span across small villages, military compounds, mountain outposts, and war-torn areas. The similar games, varying from Endless Runner, Stickman Revenge 3, Shadow Blade, and Mark of the Ninja. Speedy Ninja is different because the game doesn't revolve around stealth and has extremely fast combat filled with blood and gore. Time is your friend and your enemy in Speedy Ninja, either rewarding you with gold for fast level completion or making you a slow ninja for more challenging gameplay. The risk about developing the game is the programming and animations needed to display the creative vision accurately. The game would be very challenging for the skill set that students have acquired in previous classes. Balancing the timer, speed gauge fluctuation, and combat will be difficult, but if done correctly, this will ensure exciting gameplay. Another risk is that this game would be better suited for the mobile platform for the control layout, but may be easily adapted to the mouse and keyboard. Thank you for watching my presentation of Speedy Ninja.